Good evening, dear listeners. Oh, well, evening, morning, afternoon, um, you know, daylight saving time, whatever time it is you wish to enjoy this podcast. It is Do You Expect Sport commentary time, and it's a sad one. It's because obviously we're recording on the day that Sir Sean Connery has passed away. As we did with Roger, we thought we'd do an on-troop commentary on Doctor No. So which is probably Steve that or Thunderball, which I think either or, because that's what we're aiming for, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah, I mean the slightly morbid aspect of the conversations we've had behind the scenes over the years is let's hold back a good Sean Connery one.
Yeah.
Because he was starting to look frail in recent years. It really hit home when Roger died. Roger was getting on for 3 years older than Sean, and Sean didn't actually look as vital in the last few years of his life as Roger did in the last few years of his. So we were always aware this day could come, and so we've held back Doctor No because it's where it all started. It's a personal favourite of mine. But we also held back Thunderball to give us a bit of a choice, just because Thunderball was, at least at the box office, his biggest. So there was just a little bit of a thought that let's hold them back. Eventually, had he not passed, we'd have used them up and possibly held back the one we're going to cover tonight. But obviously there comes a point when, there are Bonds already that we've done all of their films. So if they passed away unexpectedly, we'd have to cover something else they were in. But we this was somewhat deliberate because we were aware that there was a strong possibility of this.
And oddly enough,
kind of knew it was going to come, but we weren't quite sure when.
To be honest, I was actually we were kind of anticipating it a little bit. So that,
his 90, health was failing, and you kind of thought, it's one of those sad things. You kind of think, it's going to happen at some point. Bless him.
Yeah, but I must admit, when it flashed up on my phone today, I was a bit surprised. I was like, oh fuck, really?
Yeah, I got a bit surprised as well. And today's turned out to be a pretty crap day.
Yeah, in terms of, I think with everything that's been going on recently, it just seems to be a bit like
lockdown Mark 2 and other measures.
Yeah.
I thought it was. We saw they released a photo of him with certainly Jason, his son. I don't know who the lady the other side was. I don't know if that's like daughter-in-law or whatever. On his 89th birthday, and he just didn't quite. He just didn't look right. I don't want to get into prurient guessing as to what was wrong with him. There's no need to do that. But then you'd see photos of him with carers, and I just thought, this man is weakening significantly. Yeah. When it came up today, I was. In contrast to you two, I was remarkably unsurprised. It just came up. Breaking news: Sir Sean, and immediately I thought Sir Sean Connery. It's got to be has died.
Yeah. Who else?
And I was just like, well, here we go. So I posted it immediately, and then we immediately started trying to make sure we were free tonight to do this, because this is outside of our normal schedule. We were recording. There's been COVID in the camp. Whether the affected person wants to talk about it is entirely up to them. But we've had COVID
it was me.
in the camp.
Which is Chris. It was Chris. Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't.
Good news. Over the worst of it.
Yeah.
On the mend. Hurrah.
By definition, it wasn't me, because I'm saying if the person wants to say. But the fact is, I don't want to force you to talk about your health. But we've had COVID in the camp, so we were delayed recording Escape from the Planet of the Apes. We can't do this weekend coming now. So in other words, we were going to do, I think, Wednesday, and we'll probably still record that. The only downside to this is our 200th, episode jamboree will now be the fucking Tim Burton Planet of the Apes.
We can celebrate.
But there you go. I look back today. So the way time runs around. The Roger Moore tribute episode was episode 74, and this is 198. So we've done 124 episodes between the passing of the first two James Bond.
Crazy, isn't it?
We were just saying offline, myself and Becca, that just the way this has all come about, that when the last Bond film came out, and it's been a while, but when the last Bond film came out, when Daniel came into the role and stuff, all of the previous James Bonds were still alive, and we've now lost a third of them. So I don't think this one hit me as hard as Roger in some ways, but it feels bigger than Roger. there's something about Sean Connery as a film star and a screen presence.
He casts a longer shadow, doesn't it? I mean, that
I think he
doesn't,
does.
doesn't kind of put Roger or anybody else into any sort of lesser position. They all cast different shadows, but I think with Sir Sean, because he had a longer career and he had so many iconic roles outside of Bond as well as everybody else did. But for me, he has the bigger influence, and he was the first kind of big screen Bond, as it were, rather than on the radio or small screen or other productions. And yeah, for me, we cast a longer shadow, and he definitely set the mould for other Bonds to come.
I think also, and this just like I think the difference just between the two men. Like Roger Moore's much more of a gentler type of man. He's very much a gentleman. He's very much more of a softer kind of like feel.
He's more of a charmer, wasn't he?
Yeah. Whereas Sean is very solid.
There's an edge to Sean.
Yeah, there's a bit of an edge there.
And his screen presence was a lot more primal as well. There was more screen presence there in my view, although Roger Moore's voice was something special. I was a little bit more saddened by Roger's passing because I was more attached to the man. But certainly we started as a Bond podcast, and there's not a doubt in my mind that we've actually lost James Bond tonight. We haven't lost someone who played James Bond. We've actually lost James Bond. He made James Bond. James Bond didn't make him.
Yeah, but also he's just a genuine movie star. I mean, beyond Bond. I mean, he's proved himself. Beyond series. We were sort of talking maybe like had we have done all the Bond films by the time Sean would have passed, what other film might we have done? I think we sort of last sort of banded on The Rock. But funnily enough,
you need to do something he's in most of, because the natural thing that springs to mind for me is The Untouchables, but he's very much a supporting role in it. He dies partway through it. I
was actually thinking about this, oddly enough. Well, not so long ago. I think it was only like a few days ago, and it occurred to me, Last Crusade. We should should have done the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
It had that had that.
I mean, he's not in the first 50 minutes of it, but thereafter you can talk about your memories of him in that first 50 minutes, and then he arrives and is in the rest.
It's a good watch. We all like it. Plus, also he's really actually good in it. He's generally fantastic. He doesn't just do a typical Sean Connery performance as well. It's a bit more comedic and light-hearted, and it's not really like the characters he's done before, but he's really good at it. So there's lots of sort of like to get into that, but no.
Very sad when you think of the passage of time as well, because it just doesn't. That the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen doesn't really feel that long ago. I mean, it's 17 years ago now, but I mean that came out and he was still sort of fairly primal leading man.
Yeah.
And the last few years he has just looked terribly frail.
Entrapment as well. That was a bit of a hit in 99.
It was, yeah, 99 and loads. I mean, how much some of those films have stood the test of time, I don't know, but he was a solid film star for a lot of years. There's almost two Sean Connerys in most people's mind. There's the sort of grey beard and the sort of wig, and there's James Bond, and they're two very distinct phases of his career in terms of his fame. Although you could argue a lot of his best films are actually some of the weaker performers in the late 70s and stuff. But the sort of first feeling of him sort of coming back into prominence was like Outland, and then he did sort of In the Name of the Rose, and then Highlander. But again, a lot of those films he's not in a lot. He's very much a supporting role. But I always really, really liked him as a screen presence.
He was always magnetic in whatever he was in, even if it might have been a Duff film or perhaps one of his earlier roles. He was still you're still very much drawn to him as a performer.
Absolutely. So I think what we're doing is apt tonight because it's the birth of a franchise, and I think
birth of a movie star.
It could almost be that every Bond after him was better than him, which I don't think they are, by the way. But he would still be James Bond. He was there first, and of course he did a lot of the Fleming books. The irony of the golden age of Bond is that my favourite of them is the one he's not in, the 60s ones on Her Majesty's Secret Service. But there's no doubt when I think James Bond, he probably does come to mind first still. And as much as you get largely men who aren't into men who will say, oh, Daniel Craig's quite ugly and stuff, actually Daniel Craig's the closest we've had to him because he's quite primal, he's quite fierce, he's got really strong screen presence, and women utterly love him. Daniel Craig's actually the closest we've had to Connery. People always liken him to Dalton, but he's actually closer to Connery for me. He's the Bond I can imagine walking around his room looking for bugs.
Yeah, definitely.
More than any of the rest of them, and he's got a harder edge to him. That's always the flaw with calling Dalton the literary Bond for me. I think he's slightly too nice to be the literary Bond. Craig's got more of a, I'm not sure I'd like you. Do you know what I mean about him? And the literary Bond has that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of got that edge to him as well, hasn't he?
Connery really had it. I don't want to get it. We're paying tribute to him tonight, so I don't want to get into some of the more unsavoury suggestions about his personal life and stuff. But there are scandals he's been involved with that don't surprise me, if you like. There's a very hard edge to the man, and he wouldn't suffer any fools. And when you read the literary Bond, that it really is Connery. There might be a slight discrepancy in the physical description, but I see Connery much more than I ever see like a Dalton.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you go back to reading Fleming, you know, if you can't imagine Hubie Carmichael, whoever it is meant to look like, I think the majority of people probably would, if it's not somebody like Dalton or that kind of figure, it would definitely be Connery. I would say the same as well. I've kind of got that kind of, that's the kind of the image that conjures up whenever I go back and read, certainly the Fleming Bond for sure.
Had Fleming written, and then he worked on his Buffon before heading to the casino. Maybe I'd picture
Bond.
Perhaps I'd picture Dalton.
Maybe when you come to read like John Gardner in the 80s, then you can kind of picture Tim and maybe Pierce.
Yeah. See, Pierce is too effeminate for me. He just is. Even if you like his Bond, I can't imagine him. There's just no edge to him, no harshness to him. No.
Oh, I love Bros.
And I just like any fight. I just think he'd get the shit kicked out of him by anyone he ever had a fight with. So I can't see him as Bond. Whereas Connery's Bond is just like, you can imagine him, walking into a room and just roughly taking whichever woman he wanted.
Yeah, literally.
There's such a primal edge to him. Whereas like
animal magnetism.
Brosnan would probably just serve them a drink. The wine
would chat them up and charm them, and then
the wine waiter of the former Bonds.
Oh, that's harsh. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, back to
he gave good paint face anyway.
Yeah, he did a good paint face.
Yeah. How's your drink? Not good.
You
Let's go into some orange territory there.
Yeah, I mean, they've all got something to recommend. Though I might not be a Brosnan fan, but I get why some people are, and they've all got something to recommend them. But I think of Bond as extremely alpha male at all times, and that's just
what
something
encapsulates it for Connery.
Dalton had that. Dalton had it to a degree. Craig really has it, and Connery really had it, and it's something
Lazenby has it.
Lazenby had it as well. Anyway, so Chris.
So let's click on initiate mission. Let's get this party started.
Okay.
You gonna count us in?
On 3. 1, 2, and 3. Away we go. So apologies, listeners, as you've probably picked up. I'm just recovering from having the old COVID. The topic of the day. So that's if my voice goes a little bit funny. That's why, or if I cough or something.
Plus, it's big girly grief.
Well, at least you managed to kick its butt anyway, and
I've never understood why did they get Bob Simmons to do that. He looks nothing like Sean Connery.
No, it's one of those things that you might not always notice until Blu-ray, until you watch, in high definition. You can think, hold on a minute, that's not the same man.
Do you think there's an alternate history where like the tradition in Bond film is to open up with 3 blind mice?
Yeah,
probably.
Every film.
Oh dear, this is very psychedelic. This title sequence.
That's a very pulp novel look as well.
It is.
Yeah,
listening out the sound for the commentary is a little bit
like. It would be a
whoa.
shock if Tarantino did a period film with this sort of thing on the front of it.
He'd be all over it, wouldn't he? He would be all over it. All the colours going, everything. I think if he was to do a Bond, it would be very much in this style.
What an awful year for losing Bond people it's been.
I know, so we've had Dino Rig.
On a
On a
Black.
Sean
Um,
Connery.
Michael Lonsdale.
Michael Lonsdale, of course.
When was
Um,
Domino? Was that this year, or was that just
oh
last year?
god, yeah, well, Lon Sutton as well from Live and Let Die. Thought she passed away in the
Yeah.
week. Very sad.
Yeah.
Also in Space 1999
Yeah.
and Doctor Who, I think.
So Terry Bamber, if you're listening, go easy on the fucking Malibu.
Yes, Terry Bamber, we must preserve you. You're an industry great. Don't copy just yet. Thank you.
Yeah. Peter Hunt's dead, obviously, although he's been dead a long time.
Yeah, he passed away a while ago. So,
Hasn't
but yeah,
he?
I think this, we had a rough couple of years for losing, celebrities, but this year seems to
Main
especially
title designed by Maurice Bender.
yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah, although he didn't do the next two. He didn't come back till Thunderbolt. Robert Brownjohn did the next two.
Is that why they're slightly more interesting?
Sounds slightly better.
There's actually some creativity in there.
Yeah.
That's it.
And of course, Dink died.
Oh, of course, yes.
The Golden Girl herself, Margaret Nolan.
Dink, Morgan earlier, yes, forgot about Dink, unfortunately.
That was only a week or so ago.
Very sad. Yeah, all the Golden Girls. Not the Golden Girls, but Girls of Goldfinger.
Shirley Eaton's still alive, isn't she?
I don't mention. Yeah, I think so. Still going.
Tanya's dead. Her sister's dead. Whatever she
Tanya
was.
Mallet passed away. Yeah.
Tilly Maston, Tanya Mallet. Yeah, she passed away. I think that was this year as well.
It's been a bad year.
Yeah. This to me is the best looking Bond film till Thunderball. I think it's partly
They all look
location,
good,
but
don't
it
they?
looks so clean. I do
I
feel.
think Goldfinger will stick in my mind. Well, definitely these first three films will stick in my mind on Blu-ray because, like, for example, I think From Russia with Love and Goldfinger are probably the first ones that I saw in the high definition.
Yeah.
And I just thought, it looks like new. It could be like a period piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
This might be on any of the JBR quizzes, so I must pay attention to how they play cards. But I still won't be able to answer the question.
Yeah, well, I fancy I know my Bond, but those quizzes can be quite hardcore.
Yeah, they're really hardcore, but it's fun though. So, and it's, like doing these commentaries and doing the podcast.
I normally
it's
do
very
okay.
fun.
It gives me some, comfort. I know a fair bit because I do get quite.
Yeah, you're quite good.
Stuff, but like, not a lot of it. I don't.
I think they do. It is a challenge. So it must be quite a challenge to set it as well, to kind of pick up on the detail.
This is quite an abrupt sort of action-packed start for a 1962 film.
It is quite shocking.
Yeah.
Selecting somebody that you might follow for the rest of the film suddenly gets brutally shot down.
Yeah. And actually, I know it doesn't look wildly realistic, but you actually see her blood as well.
You do.
It's a little bit too...
Yeah, for early 60s audience, that must have been quite shocking.
It has a bit of a horror aspect to it as well because it's like quite.
Yeah, but the supernatural element.
Well, not supernatural, just in terms of it's quite abrupt and the way she screams, it's sort of a bit of a terror.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's like home invasion kind of feel to it
Yeah.
as well.
To want a bit of tension. That's the way it cuts to each one as well. That's quite an effective way.
I'm not convinced they're blind, you know.
They're not really mice, you know.
There cannot be many. I mean, 'cause Sean's passed away now at a very good age, and he was 31 filming this. For most of filming, anyway. So you think, well, most people involved with this must have passed by now.
Yeah, we lost Joseph Wiseman recently as well. Bong. Yeah, if this is like an Austin Powers or Spice spoof, you would hear like.
I love the simplicity of the sets. I quite like this set.
And the wild 60s fashions.
Those boobs
And
look
there's
very
not
keeping.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, it's Taylor double.
Those boobs look very modern with today's setting.
Dr. Noob, no, revolutionised Five's boobs by bringing them into the modern era.
Pointing very high.
Yeah, but you're forgetting big roundy 70s boobs, Chris. They sort of went backwards again before they came forward.
I was on about the screens putting up.
So the screens are relevant now.
Yeah.
The screens in between people.
I seen a social
There's no
distance.
point just walking around them. Hello, not Buddy Holly here.
Yes, but not Buddy Holly.
I see no
That's
social
what I thought. I
distancing
thought,
now.
that can't be Buddy Holly. And then obviously later on we see Dr. No in a hazmat suit, so he was doing it right all along.
But what if there's COVID inside the suit?
Oh, that's true, then you're buggered.
And there's not Adam West.
Then that's... no, not... all these people got not people in it. That was his moment, his one line, his 5 minutes of fame.
This set is, those aren't windows. This is a completely constructed set, and it was really, really cheap as well. And they've done a
But
phenomenal
it
job
looks
of it.
great. It still looks good, though.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah. Even though it's quite obviously like soundstage, but it still looks cool. Iconic scene.
And if you read the books, obviously Baccarat gets explained, and it's a really simple game. I don't think it's ever really been explained in the films, but it's very, very straightforward.
I think that's probably why it was so popular.
Yeah. Basically, the picture cards don't count, and you only take the number on the right. So basically, he's just shown a picture card and an 8, which means he's got 8, and you need 8 or 9. So that's a 9.
Yep.
See, if she hadn't said Trench, Sylvia Trench,
We wouldn't have had one
wouldn't
James Bond.
I know, you wouldn't have said that for the rest of the series.
That's
Imagine
got to
if
be
the-
like...
Hello, love. For the rest
All right,
of the
darling.
series, because that's what she said.
Call me Jim.
Yeah.
Call me Jim. Jim, love, call me Jim.
I'm Sylv. Fancy a punk up?
I mean, it is one of those things that constantly gets said, but it is true. That moment is fucking iconic.
There's only one screen entrance that matches it, and it's Darth Vader's in the first Star Wars film.
I was going to say, it's probably one of the most iconic moments, not just in Bond, but in like cinema as a whole. It's
And
kind of
of
up
course-
there with like Casablanca or Star Wars, indeed.
Or, of course, Norman Wisdom in The Early Bird, where he played a milkman. We only had 10 streets, Mr. Grimsdale.
Sorry.
Didn't Eunice Gayson die fairly recently as well?
She did. This is getting depressing.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if Sean Connery had a radioactive penis or something.
He's calling all his one ladies to him. Come on.
Yeah, mid-afternoon, I had quite a graphic thought about what Sean Connery's getting up to in the afterlife right now. Roger was there as well.
There's one big orgy. I just think I quite
But
like.
on a black man, I say Honor Blackman had a smile on her face. Her mouth was full, but I think she would have
Full of what?
she would have been smiling otherwise.
I love what. No, I like sort of off topic. I like sort of Daniel Craig's tribute as well. Just saying, obviously, there's a golf course, and the great beyond, as it were. So I can imagine.
Wow, yeah. I mean, he's not going to say, "I hope he's having an orgy with Roger Moore." is he?
So conversely,
This kind of interplay with the secretaries hasn't dated at all.
no, it's not sexist in any way, shape, or form.
See, now this is an emergency. He's been called in at about 3 o'clock in the morning, which is better than the book, because the book he's called in at like tea time or something. This has the sort of feel of emergency and a bit of sort of a man about town as well, because like he's out gambling and stuff. I don't know why they've called Moneypenny in. It seems a bit harsh.
Oh, she hasn't got anything better to do. She said,
well,
"Oh,
she
Bond will be
sleeps
here. Let's
there.
go."
She sleeps there basically.
Does she?
Well, no, that's basically it. She's always in the office.
Double door. Take note, fucking Eon.
Yes, do it right. Do it right. I think that's got to be like a big requisite for the next film. Like, you must see Bond in a tux. You must see, or commander outfit. You must see double doors. You must see.
very rarely see him out of a tux. I mean, there's very few films without.
No.
You only did
or commander
twice.
out,
There aren't many. Jamaica went off the edge. I love Bernard Lee. I think we should make this a tribute to Bernard Lee. Forget Sean Connery.
I think we should just do a tribute to these great men. So So,
Was
to the great Bond
was
people that we have.
Strangways on something special? Well, his secretary once in a while.
Secretary is something special. But yeah, to the great people of Bond who we've lost along the way.
Bernard Lee's never been matched. Bond kind of loves him in the books as well. Kind of respects him so.
Yeah, you can feel that relationship's palpable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, like their relationship like toughens up in Goldfinger because that they decided to sort of.
Oh, you're thinking of Q.
Oh, is it not? It's not with them as well. Like, it seems to be
With
more.
Q, they
bit more
Guy
like...
Hamilton had a chat with Robert Llewellyn. No, not Crichton. Can you imagine Crichton as Q? No, Desmond Llewellyn, and he said, "How would your character feel about Bond?" And he's like, "Well, I'd respect him." And he said, "Well, no, he's taking your stuff out and trashing it. Put a bit more edge into it." But yeah, you do get in Goldfinger. This isn't a personal vendetta, 007. Yeah, it's personal now. I saw her tits briefly. It's love.
That makes it personal.
Yeah, that is a trope, though.
It is a trope.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trope.
This is personal now.
But then Bond's always strange, oddly loyal, isn't he? Really, like with the minor of relationships,
Yeah. I know.
Like Saunders, like sort of fucking did not get on at all, and
Yeah.
had one brief moment
Saunders must have been really good in bed, Chris.
Must be it.
My bottom is only available on a need-to-know basis. There's a really awkward edit in this because he says something about MI6 dropping casualties. He said MI7 originally, and it's had an awkward dub on some prints. Of course, MI6 did not officially exist at this point. It was always denied. It's Q, kind of.
Yeah, Major Boothroyd.
Yeah. And he would have been in the next film, but there was a clash or something. They didn't.
Scheduling conflict.
So it would have been completely different then, wouldn't it? It just, going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Come back alive. Oh, no, let's go.
Come back on. No, that doesn't. Come back dead. Oh my god.
But it's just,
Can you imagine Bernard Lee
scene
doing
for me,
that?
'cause it was
Definitely.
spellbinding, that scene. She was no nonsense. She handed it ass to him, and as he walked out the door, she's like, "Ooh, come back alive."
Come back alive.
No.
But
No.
for me, it feels like it's one of those moments that was made for the trailer. It just happened to be in the film.
Yeah.
But it was one of those one made specifically for the trailer. And it's just
You've
like,
just told him off. Don't finger yourself now, for fuck's sake. I know. I wonder what the gross of Goldeneye would have been like if it had been rumoured she was going to finger herself. You'd have to know, wouldn't you?
with the subtitles, it just says speaking
Maybe
Italian.
that's
Why
what-
does it not say just ciao?
Maybe that's why that was actually called Goldeneye.
Yeah.
Probably.
Chris always thought this was a hotel. This is his Chelsea apartment.
This is Chelsea flat. How many other times do we see his flat in the film?
Live and let die, Spectre.
Great. Fingers crossed we might see in the new film. I don't know. It's unlikely.
Why do you want to see him having a bowl of Cocoa Pops or something?
Yeah, I'd do it.
That would be.
See if he's moved house. See what he's up to these days.
It would be scrambled eggs.
I'm quite lazy.
Yeah.
Oh. You can tell he's wealthy because he's got a TV.
Yeah.
Whether it's colour or not, we don't know.
I mean, what a world where you just like random women just like in your flat.
Yeah, security's not very good, is it?
You wouldn't want it to be, would you?
No, but then this is the 60s.
Yeah. The only thing that bothers me about her is the way she does lift an eyebrow. It looks really odd. She does it in the casino, and you are? It's just like...
Channeling Saroj
I know.
Yeah.
before Saroj.
She does look great though. She's like a great Bond girl, I think.
I think her hands are a bit awkward here. I'm like, come on, just embrace her. Sean, come on. You can do it.
Yeah. They needed you there to coach him. Show him how it's done. You could have been there as an intimacy coach.
Intimacy coach.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean, you can do it.
Good luck, young man. I think you meant to give specific advice, not just egg them on.
Or just say, go on.
You don't hire
Move
an
into work more closely.
You don't hire an intimacy coach just to go get in there, man.
Just for them pumping your arm.
Pumping. One of
Pumping,
Beck's
you say?
favourite words. That licking the bulb thing's weird as well.
Oh, rude.
Was a bit. This guy couldn't look more shifty.
Yeah, no, he's clearly not from Government House.
What is it? Is it just the fact that his suit's a bit creased and he looks a bit sweaty?
Bit creased, bit oversized, bit sweaty. And he's not stood up very straight either.
No, he's not stood straight. He just looks shifty. Jack Lloyd looks so cool. Oh my gosh. He looks so cool.
Yeah, I do wonder how we'd feel about the Felix character if we'd had a bit more continuity. He's not in the next film, and in the film after that, he's played by much older than
Yeah,
that.
we get somebody else.
Yeah.
Someone who's completely more forgettable.
C. Slinder. Although I think that was the first Felix I saw. So it was a bit odd when I saw Jack Lord, but yeah. Definitely Jack Lord is much more like the literary
Yeah, he's like literary Felix, isn't he?
More or less. He's blonde and Texan, basically. Matthew McConaughey wouldn't be a bad shout.
Oh my god.
I'm not saying
I'm so glad that we've got Jeffrey Wright back in No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Then we've got a little bit of continuity Felix.
Yeah, I bet after all this he's killed in about 90 fucking seconds.
I hope not. Oh god, can't take much more.
And Bond is like, it's personal now!
It's personal now for the next person.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I suppose if they go for a new Bond, they'll have to pick a new Felix, won't they? So.
You know, next Bond film, whenever that is going to be, it's probably going to be like another reboot anyway.
Yeah.
Doctor No 2. No.
Doctor No 2, Operation Miami Beach.
What else? If they don't do the continuation novels, what else can they do? You know, are they going to start remaking the other films? Or...
What they've been doing for years, just writing original plots.
I hope so. These cars look amazing. Oh my gosh. Whatever you might say, this film just looks fabulous.
It's the shit.
Quite literally.
Yes.
Looks good.
That's really lame following. It's so obvious.
It was the 60s.
Can you lose them? I think so. And then just start steering a bit.
Yeah. That's like the Playboys,
I think
isn't
we
it?
lost
They
them.
just turns the steering wheel one way slightly, the other way slightly, and then the whole thing, it goes off a cliff. Well done.
I don't know, Chip.
I wonder why hats went out of fashion. Like, almost all of a sudden. Everyone wore hats, then, like, no one wore hats.
It's like in that Monty Python movie. I want to say The Meaning of Life. I think it's the Crimson Permanent Assurance thing. It's like hats. People aren't wearing enough. That's really random.
That's really random.
Everything's gone quiet. Can you hear me?
Sorry?
We can hear you.
Yeah. It's so sweaty. I mean, I know it's a hot climate, to be fair, but... No dicking around with this Bond, though. Look at the expression on his face.
Oof!
Yeah, we're about to have the sort of really weird edit where he throws the punch with one hand and lands it with the other.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But he means business.
Yeah, he does.
Well acted, though.
We're going to see some fast forward.
Quick.
I'm speeding up. It's not as bad in this film as some. Here we go. Catch. Throw him over
Oh, there
very
it is.
quickly.
Ooh.
And here we go. Right hand lands with left.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, Peter Hunt said he spotted it, but it just flowed better, so we just left it.
Well, fair enough.
It wasn't something they didn't spot.
No. It wasn't a continuity
He
error.
cut it together from a couple of takes, and it was like, oh, that works.
Yeah. It feels a lot more natural as well.
Cyanide cigarettes. Death to die for.
Yeah. Although normally they used to have the sort of cyanide in like a broken tooth or something.
Yeah.
It's like if it's no good.
Or like some kind of like in pill form or something.
Yeah, if you haven't got your cigarettes on, there's no point, is it?
No.
But that sounds really.
Note to Spectre, please have better cyanide pills.
That sounds really temperamental, doesn't it? You know, just sort of like you took it in, having a big bite of it. It's a big crusty bread. Ah, shit.
Yeah.
See, what are they going to do with him? Because he obviously doesn't belong there. I just think that's really weird.
Yeah, you think he's just thrown him in a fucking bush or something?
Well, yeah. I'm sorry, but
Roger Moore would have thrown him in a bush. Well, except that he would have been unable to stop laughing at the word bush for 20 minutes.
he would have given him a decent human burial. Decent Christian burial.
I like this as well for some reason. It's the same in the next film. Bond turning up at like foreign embassies, offices, that sort of thing. I like it.
Why? Doing some investigating.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what it is, but I like it. The other thing is Sean Connery, although there have been, most Bonds have been around his height, he's that height 60 years ago. So he sort of towers over everybody. He's got such presence. You really notice it in From Russia with Love as well. Just everywhere he goes, he's noticeably quite a bit taller than everybody else. It's not been a flaw of the Daniel Craig era, but Daniel Craig is an outlier. I mean, when people say Tom Hardy and you go, he's too short, and they go, well, he's only an inch shorter than Daniel Craig. It's like, yeah, but Daniel Craig is himself an outlier, which is fair enough, But I wouldn't expect anyone to be cast to his template again.
No, the next Bond's going to be someone completely out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the same in the book as well. Strangways is a bit like he's always doing different things. He's into fishing one minute, cards the next, and that sort of thing. He picks up different hobbies. Quarrel. When I saw this on the big screen a few years ago, Quarrel's eyes are really yellow, and he died like 3 years later of cirrhosis. Massive drink problem.
Yeah, I wonder if I pick it up here.
He is a bit Simon Cowell on the trousers, though, isn't he?
Well, I think that's just how you wear them in those days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a style at the time, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely fine. And
But yeah, it definitely is a bit like, oh, high trousers.
there are suits that look a little better.
I was talking high trousers.
So it's still a great era. I just like this. I don't know if you'd want to be doing it in every single film, but I don't think we see it much after Lazenby at Pitt's Gloria.
Yeah.
Now, I just think, you think, I've got loads of hair, this won't be a problem. Sean, if only you knew what was on its way, buddy, you'd have left that where it was.
You feel this is proper, like, old school spycraft?
Yeah.
We don't see any other Bond do this.
It's a good job he's not already bald. I mean, I don't have any hair. I'd have to, like...
It's just before the toupee, so it's like, oh, it's fine.
I mean, if he was bald, like Chrome Dome, would he have to tear out a pube? A short and curly. it's not that bad. What we want you to do, Bond, is head down to one of the most beautiful, warm places in the world and sit round drinking with people. Yeah, all right then. He's got a bit too much lipstick on there, Sean. I'll see Anthony Dawson was, well, the body of Blofeld in the next film. There's not F.W. de Klerk. I remember Haphazard Stuff doing like an analysis of shot length. Like the average shot in this film is 6.2 seconds. And by the time of Quantum of Solace, it's down to 2, which is why it feels so fucking whip pan.
What, 2 seconds for each shot? Bloody hell.
As an average. And that, bear in mind that it includes scenes where they do sit and talk for a while and stuff.
Do you think that makes it... I think that makes the film feel longer?
No, I don't think this film feels particularly long at all, to be honest. In fact, it is around the 2-hour mark, slightly under, I think. No, it isn't. It's I think it's about 150 or something like that. It's relatively tight, this film, but it's just I don't know. Just editing was a very different proposition in this era. I mean, as much as I like Doctor No, we're through most of the best bits of the film already. I really just love the first act where he's called in and stuff like that.
It's like walking around.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said to you before, part of me doesn't actually care what happens in Bond films. It's just like, let's have him walk around nice places looking cool.
Yeah.
A bit of How's Your Father? Basically, cars, gunfire, and titties, and credits.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to really go wrong with it, really.
No, exactly. You know, and try not to, like, accidentally put on a nylon safari suit.
And don't make Blofeld your long lost, half brother or whatever.
Yeah. Particularly when the two of you are about 15 years apart in age. Just everything revolves around this one minor spy from London, yeah.
Especially when you've literally just introduced him, and you just sort of like just cram everything in, saying like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it was all me."
That was Eon having no patience and no plan. And I think a little bit. I still think Barbara and Mike are a little bit sort of in awe of fame and talent, and I think Mendes could have said anything and they'd have gone all right because it's Mendes. We got this Oscar-winning director, and he wants James Bond to like sit on the toilet and eat ice cream for 2 hours. Let's do that. Yeah, if you look, it should be visible to you. Just look how yellow Quarrel's eyes are. The whites of his eyes. This was a man who had a severe drink problem. Jack Lord's a bit wasted in this film, actually. I'm not quite sure what he really gives us. Apart from some rather feminine 1970s Jackie Onassis style sunglasses.
Yeah, I've never noticed that before. They are a bit overtly feminine, aren't they?
They are. It's like he's borrowed his mum's cataracts glasses for this scene because
he was in a rush.
He was in a rush. Thankfully, he remembered to put on his own clothes.
I mean, this is definitely a movie thing that I don't think happens in real life. like with secret agents from different agencies meeting together, but initially getting into a bit of a scrap, and then introduce each other via gunpoint, and then start shaking hands and all friendly.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happens. I can hear this music. I've not got the sound on, but I can hear this.
Mm.
Can you, Becca?
I'm very sorry, I was eating my dessert.
Not a euphemism, listeners.
What dessert are you eating?
I was eating a mince pie. I'm happy now.
Hairy
I'm
pie.
I'm getting into Christmas. Yeah, no, this is a film I can very much hear as well. Even as we've got the sound off for just for the subtitles, so we can do the commentary. I can hear the dialogue, I can hear the music, hear the sound effects. And likewise, when we come to the tarantula scene, I'll hear that doo doo doo, and I was just like, oh! So I'll still freak out regardless.
Yeah. Basically,
I'll try not to, but
all Bond has had to do is go sightseeing and out drinking so far.
Yeah, been to very beautiful places and
not bad. This is it.
Well, in the 60s, obviously, this was so that you could travel the world for the price of a cinema ticket. You probably might not. Well, maybe in the 60s you might be able to, but perhaps the world was just starting to open up in terms of package holidays and things like that. So you might go to Jamaica or see these exotic locations. But if you're a working class family, then probably not. So
it's it can't be underestimated what a beneficial decision that's turned out to be, because this could have been shot on sets black and white. It could have looked like duty free.
They could have made it on the Slough Industrial Estate and it still looked glamorous.
Well, yeah, but they couldn't. That's exactly the point. They've actually sprung the money for some locations and decent quality film stock and that sort of thing. It wouldn't have been the same series if it had looked a bit kitchen sink in its first outing.
Yeah, that was just starting as well, wasn't it? At this sort of time, sort of late 50s and 60s. This is kind of about as far away as kitchen sink as you can get, I guess.
I just love his serious face, because he's still somewhat charming, but he looks like he'd have no problem breaking her arm or slapping her or something.
He'd
just hint of danger. I don't want to see violence against women in these films. I really don't. But the hint of danger really comes with this Bond. And when they tried to get Roger to do it in The Man with the Golden Gun and stuff, it just didn't suit him.
No.
And it seemed more brutal because it didn't suit him.
It's something very unusual for him to do.
Whereas here, there's something very casual about this.
No, well, even this scene, where she scratches his face, Coral's face, and it's still, just it. You see that's shocking.
He just kind of smiles and he goes.
He's like, yeah, that's fine.
Guard for life, but never mind.
Go on, let me break her arm.
See, Jack Lord ain't doing anything, is he, really?
He's just looking cool.
Yeah.
I like this line. You'll all be sorry, you rats.
Jack Lord was.
That's a great line.
Jack Lord was under consideration for Captain Kirk.
No, really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. That would have gone very differently.
Did we make a difference?
So, do you think had we cast Jack Lord instead of
Shatner
instead of the Shat, would it have been as popular?
Shatner as
Felix.
Felix.
Well, it wasn't popular. It was cancelled after 3 series. So as Felix, yeah.
As Felix Leiter.
Why Bond?
You put Shatner in this. I'm from the CIA.
I'm Felix Leiter. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
I quite like when Family Guy used to show bits from Star Trek.
Yeah.
He would be bouncing around the bridge all over the place and splitting his pants and stuff. Just to mirror that sort of staccato thing. It's funny. Let's put some sunglasses on so you don't, get the glare of the...
Quick, let's pretend we're blind.
I love the idea that, you really couldn't see shit. They're just walking into everything.
I see what you mean about Felix's glasses there. They are a bit kind of Jackie Onassis and a bit kind of... They look like they should... they would belong to his wife or something rather than... It didn't look very muscular, but
Whereas the
I guess
three blind
it
mice
was the
there,
style at the time. I
yeah,
don't know.
he's rocking sort of Isaac Hayes meets Make America Great Again. Yeah,
I like the idea that they just like wander around like sort of like pretending like to be blind, and everyone else just kind of like look at them going like, oh, them three idiots think pretending to be blind. We all know you can see.
yeah. Yeah, it turns out to be nothing more than, trying to get nice parking spaces and stuff. Mind you, I don't see many parking spaces
Yeah.
at the supermarket for blind drivers. That would be odd.
Yeah, it would make you think, wouldn't it? Like, what?
Yeah, like on the motorway, the M25. This lane is reserved for the blind.
Oh God, excuse me.
No one has smoked a cigarette for at least 45 seconds now.
No, what's going
Come
on?
on, guys.
My chest is
Which
feeling.
one smoked the more?
It's
Do you
being
reckon it was
cleared
Sean
out.
or Tim?
Sean or Tim? Sean smoked more than Tim.
He smoked more.
Yeah.
He drank more. Let's see.
But Sean rocked more knitted ties.
He did. I think that's probably like one cool aspect of Spectre, for example, how he does kind of Daniel does rock the Sean outfit in the knitted tie. You just think, oh, it looks so cool.
But that film overdid the costume changes, though.
It did, but that was just one.
He'd
That
walk
scene
out
before
you
they
know,
go into the crater.
It was
It's pretty
almost
cool.
at the stage of like walking from one train carriage to the next and having a different set of clothes on.
I don't mind. There's no problem there.
4 different sets of clothes during the fight with Hinks or something.
As long as he looks good, that's all that matters.
But it made me laugh because they were at some station when they got off that train. And they
Need to get up with a really different.
tiny little case, and they've worn about 5 different suits each since they've been on the train.
There is a way that you can pack so lightly. You can, fit a lot in your case if you roll it, if you pack it a certain way.
Boy,
But I haven't learned that trick.
no, I can never tell what's model and what isn't there.
No, I don't know.
It's got to be model at the end. You see that above shot of it blowing.
Oh yeah, the end that is a model.
I'm wondering if that's a model with some forced perspective or something.
Don't know.
If you did the special effects on Doctor No, write to us at gmail.com.
From beyond the grave. Oh, excuse my squeaky chair, everybody.
If you're good at making small things look massive, right? Gmail.com.
Yes, Dave really wants to know in there.
Yes.
Be providing a service. Not literally, that would be wrong.
It just reminds me of one of them things where it just takes ages to get wherever it is you're going.
I know.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Got that in The Spy Who Loved Me after Roger does his theatrical fucking fainting stuff,
Yeah.
but it takes about fucking 4 weeks to walk back to base.
I like
But
how,
no, but see, when you actually get to base, you have to walk down this corridor,
I
open
know.
that door.
Yeah.
go-
You turning up looking a bit tired would have been fine. They'd run out of money by the time they did this set, so they threw this together for like about £600 or
And it's
something.
iconic.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah,
Ken,
it's
Ken
a
Adams'
invention.
signature does seem to be that sort of circular grated roof ceiling.
That's all you need.
It just fills the room, doesn't it? That's it.
And you look at other films as well, like Doctor Strangelove, for example, and it's a similar sort of thing, really, isn't
Yeah.
it? So
There's definitely a sort of house style.
that's kind of like his signature, as it were, or that kind of geometric design.
If he put that hat on, he'd look really weird.
It looks like he should be wearing like a hat that isn't straw, like
Yeah,
Panama or something.
yeah.
Other than a straw hat, I don't know. I don't know much about hats.
You don't know much about hats.
No, people don't wear enough.
How many should we wear?
Enough?
Okay. Thanks for clearing that up.
More.
I,
Especially
I,
when
wa-
it is cold.
I wonder, does this start the trope of like unusual death?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Like, it's like, well, I want you to kill this
really.
guy. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to put a spider in his bed. Oh, okay.
I'm going to buy him a canister of whipped cream and put a heavy flow rate on it so he chokes.
So it'll go bang.
They do have some weird ideas. It's like Live and Let Die, where they cut his arm and it's like lower them into the water. It's like, just fucking shoot him.
It's overly elaborate, easily escapable, exotic death.
It has to be to a degree, but like some films, see what I mean? He's just towering over everyone.
Yeah.
But not ridiculously so. He doesn't look like a giant or something. He just looks like he's commanding the room.
Yeah, he's very imposing and very commanding because he has Commander Bond.
Yeah. What is she wearing?
Pair of curtains, I think.
Hello. She just looked at his arse, look.
Boiler suit. Looking up and down. See those kind of onesie type suits? See, they're trendy now.
Are they?
Apparently. Well, maybe not in that style, but
What about those towel onesie things? Like
yeah, that he wears.
No,
every year.
that's where you dry yourself.
That's never trendy.
Looking fashionable, yes.
What was I trying to look up on here? Let's have a...
I've wasted finite hair for that.
You can actually see the smudge as well.
I know.
Yeah, on the Blu-ray.
They haven't done a very professional job, really, have they?
No, you think you noticed that, wouldn't you? Be like, oh shit.
I've left big smudgy fucking fingerprints on that.
Oh, he's left powder stuff on there. Oh.
Yeah, don't you think they get out of the hotel, go back to their car or whatever, and just as they get in the car, touch the steering wheel and go, hang on a minute, that's talcum powder, I need to get back in there. Very simple sets. That's probably reflecting the lack of money, but it's really effective.
It's very 60s, though.
That's the sort of Daniel in Tomorrow Never Dies pose.
Yes.
Not Daniel, Tim. Pierce, sorry.
Bros, I was going to say.
Bros, yeah. One of the few times he looked like Ian Fleming's James Bond to me.
What, we've just sat down just drinking?
Yeah. And then he fucked Superman's girlfriend.
Oh! Right, this is where I look away.
Why? This has never looked realistic.
I can hear it.
So I just wonder, like, this is a plan.
You can look out for the glass plate.
Well, particularly as they're not venomous.
Like,
No, but still, it's quite scary, though.
Like, this as a plan, like, isn't necessarily that great because, well, you release a spider in, but who'd say it actually goes anywhere near Bond anyway?
Yeah, it just goes straight to the bathroom and he finds it in the bath in the morning.
Or it finds some corner and just sort of just
Put it under
there.
a jam jar.
I like the fact it's moving so slowly because it's aware of the whole point of dramatic tension. That is a rather trained tarantula.
This is where we need Charlie and his spider expertise.
Well, I remember to say venomous rather than poisonous, so that's a win.
Oh my god, that's so horrible.
It's just not. What was
I don't like spiders. I'm sorry.
What was it in the book? It wasn't a tarantula.
It's like a scorpion or something. It's some other poisonous creature, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or a snake. I want to say like a scorpion or a snake.
I think it was a scorpion. Or is it centipedes or millipedes? One of those is poisonous. It was one of those.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that might be right. Actually, something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm interested in insects and animals and things like that. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of spiders. But they are very beautiful.
If you're interested in animal sex, write to us at expectustotalk@gmail.com.
All the time, people haven't emailed us, really.
They were very vociferous about Sally Field getting banned.
They really were.
This woman's meant to be like Korean or something. It's a little bit whitewashed, this film.
Yeah, you kind of have to go a good, probably, where are we now, 62, so probably like another decade or so until you do start to get like representation filtering through, I guess, for film and TV.
Sean's arming himself with a newspaper. No.
Yes.
No other spider will get me. No,
he's ready with his paper.
Just walking around with a can of Raid. Why are you down there, love?
Yeah, what are you there? Quick. Not to
It'd be a very different film if I'd written it. And strangely,
you need to write it, Dave.
and strangely, James Bond would sound exactly like Chris Finch from The Office.
I've got a feeling
Bloody good rap.
Those, you'd probably write those 70s window cleaner type film.
Yeah. Also, I would take the piss on representation as well. She'd be played by Bruce Lee. Could work. He had lovely bloody tits at the end of Enter the Dragon. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
It keeps sticking.
It's pretty efficient storytelling, actually. It's all very...
It does move along, doesn't it?
It's all well explained as well. We know what's happening. The hardest thing to remember after this film is what Dr. No's plan is, actually. Something to do with rockets. Here's Jack Lord to achieve nothing again.
That's why. Oh.
To be an authoritative body for the CIA, basically.
Yeah. But don't worry, I'll do all the work. You just sort of sit around. Can you see how yellow his eyes are?
Mm.
Yeah, doesn't look great. Excuse me, sorry.
And nearly 10 years later, Quarrel Jr.'s about 40. So I don't know.
Not that junior then.
Yeah.
Really sorry, I got.
He's 65, you know. What's going
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he doesn't look like he's got a 30-year-old kid, does he?
No.
What was he called again? Was it John Kitzmiller? Let's have a look. I think he died.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think he died in 1966. He's a lucky man. John Kitzmiller. John Kitzmiller was about 48 during the filming of this. And he died in 65, not 66. So less than 3 years after this was released. Age 51. And it says of a liver ailment, but I have read elsewhere it was cirrhosis. A drink problem. Still looking through it. Xena Marshall. She's dead as well. Xena Marshall. Miss Tara. And who else?
Come on, game of who's dead. Guess who's dead?
I'm struggling to find someone who isn't. Ursula Andress isn't. That could even be it for the main cast. Oh, Margaret Laws, the photographer. She's still alive. But then she wasn't very old here. She was only about 23. And this was her only screen role. Okay, so she's still alive. Strangways is dead.
Plot spoiler.
Yeah, sorry, I gave it away there, didn't I? Anthony Dawson's been dead for years. He died in 92. Okay.
The projection driving there.
It looks real to me. Sean looks concerned, so it's bang on. This is really bad, actually.
I've got to try and lose him.
Not only does it look really bad, but it's the size of the vehicle behind him in the shot and things like that. It just looks really silly.
I'll try and lose him.
This is exactly the Playboys where he just like does a little sort of left turn, little right turn, and that's it, off the cliff. I think we've lost him, Sydney. And this blows up out of nowhere. I don't know what made this blow up, but there you go. There you go.
Yeah, because it looks actually fairly soft, sort of sand there just falling off.
Yeah, yeah.
They must have let out a grenade.
This was, I don't know if this was improvised or what, but this was Sean's idea. I think they were on the way to a funeral. And it was that sort of thing that did start the whole process of putting more humour into the character than is there in the book.
Oh, I suppose it's better than just going, I don't know. What happened?
Mm. Nothing to do with me. See ya.
Well, they crashed, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, that is a sort of toweling sort of dress thing, funnily enough. So she is drying herself whilst looking fashionable. I do love the way she looks really surprised to see him, because obviously he was going to be killed on the way.
By the Three Blind Men.
Yeah. Fresh from their parking space at Tesco
I mean,
for the blind.
So surprising that she drove off a cliff, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. What happened? They couldn't see shit. So primal, this Bond, though. When Roger used to do this, it always looked a bit, I don't know, rapey and smarmy. When Sean does it, it's like, I don't know. It still seems inappropriate, but it kind of works.
I think it's probably because he seems like he's on the mission. He isn't just... Do you know what I mean?
Roger's like, I'm a bit bored now, best get my dick wet.
Whereas he's like, yeah, he's brutal.
Again, that would be actual dialogue had I written a Roger Moore Bond film. I'm a bit bored now.
Dave, you need to write one. It'd be hilarious. You'd be like, carry on Bond.
For a laugh. I mean, I wouldn't put one in seriously.
Oh no, just for comedic effect. But I think it would be hilarious.
I mean, Barbara and David might actually greenlight it and then get Purvis Way to do some
to rewrite it and make all the lines really crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to stipulate, don't let Purvis and Wade anywhere near it. And Barbara and Michael would be like, oh, Dave, we're safe.
I'll be there reading the rewritten script and I'll be like, knighted in 14 months, you fucking bellends.
I like this shot with Sean in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And he is totally like, I've had you now, let's go out. No. It's really quite misogynistic.
It's like his way or the highway.
Yeah,
he's like, forget it.
Suits him though. Suits this character.
Yeah, definitely. It does kind of suit his interpretation. Just going to phone your boss and say, right, Magenta
Drive. The funniest bit, we didn't comment on it at the time, but when she gives him directions, we seem to get all of them, don't we?
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually,
and then turn left, and then head and
do this, go here. Drive along this road.
And then try to avoid some blind drivers, and then that always looks quite funny. Him looking at his watch there.
Yeah, that's quite a cool touch. If it was me, I'd be worrying about my nail varnish getting smudged, you know.
James Bond ain't wearing any nail varnish.
No.
Oh, you meant her.
Oh,
Right.
Miss Taro. Hold on a minute.
I don't like her spitting at him here.
Oh yeah, go for nail varnish.
Don't like that.
Good tweet.
Spitting's horrible.
Rude lady.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem to work either because it just sort of seems like it just sort of more dribbles out of my mouth.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh, gross.
Along with God knows what else.
She'll be wearing a visor.
That would have helped splash
Face
through
mask.
her during the critical moments. This is.
Oh, that's our record player. That's so cool.
Well, the music is. This is the Diana Coupland version of Underneath the Tree. Best known for Bless This House with Sid James.
That's crazy, isn't it? That is crazy.
Yeah. She can't have aged well because I remember being at home years ago, like, with my mother, but I don't think I lived there. I might have been visited because it wasn't decades ago. But Diana Coupland turned up in an episode of Casualty. But the first shot you saw of her was quite a close up on her face, and my mum actually jumped and shrieked.
Oh
I thought that's not a compliment.
no,
Well,
that's
oh
not the
my
best
God!
reaction. Oh my God, Daddy Coupland aged.
She was just shocked how much she'd aged. But yeah, she's singing underneath the mango tree here.
Oh,
When she comes out of the water, I can't remember if it's Ursula Andress or Nikki Van der Zyl. I think it's Nikki Van der Zyl.
it probably might be Van der Zyl.
That's quite convenient. He's got quite a long pillow there.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Could I have a 6-foot long pillow, please? Just in case I need to make me.
Well, you never know. Miss Sarah might have been pregnant. You don't know these things. She probably wasn't, but
Unlikely she might be now.
yeah, probably now that she's had a
Continuity
look around with Sean.
tie not being visible over the gun, but there you go.
Huh.
See, it wouldn't be the same now. He'd be playing that on his phone, wouldn't he?
A word, not very exciting. Sean's so hairy. Oh my God.
Farmville.
Farmville? Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
Candy Crush?
I'm well up to date with my references. Angry
Will
Birds.
he be playing Animal Crossing?
Ah.
Oh,
You've had your 6.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
fancy seeing you here.
Hello.
Name's Jim.
I don't know. Flashing some leg. Anyway.
Oh. This is
Oh, I think he's being clever.
and he shoots James Bond, and that's the end of a 35-minute franchise. No, 58-minute franchise. It's actually quite brave, this.
What?
Right.
What is?
The idea that you reach in for the gun with an armed agent there.
Yeah.
The shot in the back was quite controversial, I believe, at the time. Just the blowing on that, like that, was cool. It's very like, as I say, I didn't think he was very Fleming-esque most of the time, but on in Goldeneye, when Pierce is on the boat and he dabs his face with the towel, that's very like that. It's a very Connery touch.
Just a bit of casualty after some violence.
Yes.
Yes, it's that's probably like another iconic moment of the series, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Kill a man in cold blood. But yeah, it's a cool line as well. You've had your 6.
Yeah. His voice did change with age, because he didn't say you've had your shish. That did
You've
get
had your
worse.
shish.
You've had your shish? What?
That was a great impression. That was great.
Smells like you have.
Do it again, Chris.
Fixed. Because it probably does stink of sex in that room.
Stinky. Very musky.
Fucking hell, I think I'm getting seasick just by watching this.
Yeah, the camera is... Well, yeah, the camera's mounted on a boat, I suppose, so that's shaking as well. Never really noticed before. It's like the man with the golden gun. There's like Dr. No is hardly in it.
Is he in the book more?
I don't remember. I have read the book, but I don't remember. It's fairly faithful, as I recall. I mean, his business is slightly different, the plan's different, but it's got a lot of the same stuff. More full frontal nudity in the book, because she comes out of the water naked, which is, something to do, isn't it? And he's like, it's a guano quarry, like bird shit,
Oh, okay.
which is just odd. So there are differences, but it wasn't a book I liked very much, if I'm honest. It's got From Russia with Love before it, and it's got Goldfinger after it, and I liked both of those.
I think from reading the book, the one sequence that stands out to me is when he's crawling through the tunnels or the pipes.
That's more brutal in the book.
Yeah, that is really brutal.
Burning his hands and all that. Although
It's probably up there. It's probably up there with the carpet beater scene in Casino Royale, unfortunately, in terms of the brutality. But for me, reading the novel, that's the sequence that really stands out for me, unfortunately. I think in the radio drama as well, that kind of obviously they have to chop it back. The iconic scene.
Yeah, we're trying to sort of turn this around quickly, this show. So we're going to do virtually no editing unless something really bad happens that we need to get rid of. So I'm actually sort of preparing the post and stuff now for this, because basically we want to finish the show, download it, put it on the site and get it out there. So hopefully it will be within the same calendar day he passed on, but we'll see. No promises, but that's the bit of typing you can hear is sort of me doing bits on that. Chris has already done bits of it.
And we just had Sanchez's introduction.
Yeah, which I keep saying it, but once I noticed she was holding her stomach in, I can't unsee that.
Yeah, I can.
It does my head in, because there's absolutely no need, because she's not fat.
I never noticed that before.
Yeah, it's really off-putting once you notice it.
Yeah, she's tiny. She's got a beautiful figure.
Yeah. I think Mike Myers rocked that look best, though.
I dare say he probably looked better than some of the other imitators that we've had previously.
Yeah.
I kind of think Honey Rider kind of she deserves a lot more credit, though.
For what?
I know she's a bit of very much like a damsel in distress, but she does try to hold her own against Bond. I mean, she's largely self-taught. She might not kind of, she's world-wise, for the most of it, considering she is self-taught and she's travelled around the world with her father selling shells and things like that. So I kind of feel that even though she kind of did set very much of a mould for Bond girls, as they're called, or the derogatory, but I still think she does try to hold her own against Bond. $50.
I think there is a childlike quality to her, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing.
Definitely. They're still very much like definitely
she kind of
one-eyed innocence.
Yeah, she's got like a mental age of 10 or something.
I think isn't it in the book? It kind of goes into like her upbringing and how basically she's moved around a lot, and that's kind of why she learnt everything out of encyclopedias, and she's up to M or wherever she's up to. I'm up to M.
Which again just reminds me of the episode of Friends where like he only buys one volume, so he knows everything about like K, but that's it.
Yeah, that's all. But she's despite the sort of rough life that she's had to live, she's tried to make it on her own. And yeah, she might be a bit of a screamer, but she just tried to hold her own for sure.
A bit of a screamer.
You know what I mean? I don't mean it in that sort of sense. I mean it in sort of like...
yeah, but I meant it in that
somebody like Stacey, for example.
Well, make something up where it's all like her screaming and stuff. Go on.
Well, so I meant that as that's not a really nice way to talk, but I meant that in a bit of
Guy,
shorthand.
this guy's voice is still projected when he drops the thing in a second.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you can stop now.
It's really badly dubbed. You'll see it in a second.
Yeah, it's quite poorly dubbed.
Watch this.
Oh look, excuse me, it's not very well timed.
Yeah.
Pew. Pew,
Come
pew.
on out.
Yeah, literally.
We won't harm you, and to prove that, we'll fire a lot of machine gun fire.
And then politely ask again.
And then ask you, come out with your hands up. We're back soon with badly dubbed dialogue.
It's Crab Key, and there's a crab
Yeah, that's it.
thrown in for atmosphere. They probably went to a talent agency to get that crab.
Is it the same agency as the Spooder?
Yeah.
Where did that crab go?
Ursula Andress is in the Casino Royale spoof as well. I think she looks better.
She is fabulous. Looks fabulous. That's just like a supremely silly film. Oh my life!
It's a
And it has
mess.
such a great cast.
It's a mess.
It is a
It's
mess.
very
It's
random.
It's crazy, but it's a great cast. Cast is amazing. And like, yeah, the amount of Bond alumni, amazing, but ridiculous and awful.
I like the fact Bond is effectively wearing jorts.
He's effectively wearing double denim.
Yeah, but you've done that before, Chris.
No.
Yeah, you have. I remember.
Do you?
There's
Doesn't he
recorded,
do that in
there's
in Never Say
recorded
Never Again?
evidence of us discussing it.
Oh,
That
fair
was
enough.
that was single denim, but
Well, yeah, I know he wears the dungarees, but there is one film he wears double denim, and it's not this one. I don't know. I'll look back through that one.
If you're a double denim historian, write to us at gmail.com. Yeah, this outfit does not suit James Bond as we now
No.
know him. But
Actually, it might be Rog. It might be Sir Roger does that.
hey, he was normally so fashionable in everything else.
Designing any
Oh.
costumes that you know.
Poor Roger, he wore some right dodgy shit.
But he wore it with such casuality, though.
He does. And we've just heard he's at Chiswick Roundabout.
Oh. I love the story. The fact that Roger Moore's dad watched that show, but because he was didn't quite understand it was like a parody. He thought it was real, and
He had a go. He had a go at Roger for
not turning
being
up.
so disorganised and not turning up. Because all you hear is him go, "Hello, Alan," and it's over like a poor quality phone connection. So
Yeah.
it could be Roger Moore. It isn't, obviously, but it could be. It sounds enough like him.
And especially when you're like an old man who probably doesn't quite understand what they're watching.
Hello, Alan. Oh,
I don't say.
Oh my God, Roger Moore! So excitable, it's funny. Oh, those are wild geese from the film of The Wild Geese. Huge Roger Moore fan, the Alan Partridge character. Oh, this is action-packed, isn't it? Come on.
Phew, almost got caught there.
Yeah. Didn't it occur to them there's a load of bamboo canes sticking up out the water or whatever it is?
Oh no, there's another guy.
Still, at least they're wearing nice camouflaged outfits that don't sort of show up.
Yes. Don't stand out at all. See, why is this guy on his own? Is he lost?
I've no idea. And as much as I like the sort of more languid pace of this is taking a long time to play out, considering what's going to happen here. That could have been done in a third of the time.
He's just sleeping.
That's a fair point. Someone has just pointed out Sean Connery drank from the Holy Grail. If he'd stayed on that site, he'd still be all right.
Yeah, you could say he chose
Poorly.
Yeah. Yeah, if you just let Indy,
I've done it again. I nearly said it out loud. You can see her nipples there. Sorry, that's a repeating trope with me.
You can see Sean's nipples.
So you can see his though.
And Quarrels.
You can see nipples, just not hers.
Quarrels in a colder part of the set than the other two.
Yeah, Sean's so hairy, so
He is very hairy. Or he was.
he's quite hairy in this one.
As I say, it's the first half of this film I love, really. More than all this. This is all a bit too languid for me.
Yeah, just this little section here does take a while.
And when she's talking about her past, it is like so many of the Bond girls that I just go, I don't care. I know what you're trying to do. Even as late as somebody like Camille.
It's character.
See what you're trying to do, but I don't care. This is a James Bond story, not a random woman he's shagging story.
It's a wicker world.
If you've randomly shagged a Bond girl, write to us and expect us to talk at gmail.com.
That'd be amazing if you've got some story you'd like to tell us.
Oh, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? If and it was someone we weren't expecting, someone we followed for years, and it turns out they've done like Carol Bouquet or something.
I enjoyed a tryst with Carol Bouquet. Oh, that's tea. There we go. I knew it was somewhere along those lines.
Well, I won't tell you who it was, but I can tell you I bought her an ice cream afterwards. A gentleman never tells.
No.
Ice cream, and then we went and watched the.
Top secret.
Then we went and watched cross country skiing.
Watched in inverted commas.
And that's the story when I had Judi Dench.
Oh my god.
You could say I had a Goldfinger that day.
Hey.
Oh.
She called me a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, so I bent her over the desk and gave her what for. Then I had her had her make me a cup of tea. She won't call me sexist again anytime soon.
No. I'm saying that little scene just there. I quite like Bond's reaction because I think before he was a little bit, Connery played it as a bit bored. What happened next? What happened next? And then when she tells him about the Black Widow, he's kind of like, oh.
Suddenly this got interesting. You should have led off with that.
Don't mess with this chick. But he does anyway.
Quarrel looking very serious.
Serious face.
We're right at the point where he was as well. Well, yeah, he's right to be. He's about to die.
He does look very poorly, though.
Quite horribly.
They think that's a dragon. And, yeah, that's what I mean. Her mental age is so, young.
I'm not just a big tank.
No. Well, if you'd not seen one of those before, you'd
think it was a dragon.
You would know. Would know it's a tank, but obviously it's some kind of vehicle, isn't it? It's not a dragon.
The fact that it scares them isn't the problem. It's the fact that they bought straight into this bizarre myth.
Yeah. Then if you read, I need to look it up. I think it's like Golden Typewriter or something. It kind of goes into the history of Ian Fleming in Jamaica, and it's all about kind of like the local laws and legends.
Yeah.
Again, kind of based on like myths and very much like supernatural things like that. I think that's kind of where it all comes from, really. But yeah, obviously you know that's not a dragon.
And we're about to get a barbecued quarrel.
Quite terrifying.
If the actor had drank less, he wouldn't have been as flammable.
No. Bless him.
Yeah, I do. I'm. That is a joke, obviously,
Shit.
and I'm joking about someone actually
That was
dying.
really,
But
you see
it is
the
horrible.
body? Oh my god.
You do. That's it. Again, it's fairly hardcore for its time. I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
Vulcan.
That's what it just reminds me of. I watched Back to the Future a couple of weeks ago.
You must take.
See, they did it right. They saw COVID many years before it happened.
Yeah, we're recording this on the day that Sean Connery died, which is also the day England got put back into a second lockdown.
Lockdown Part 2.
I'll let you
We're trying to
Google
find
it.
out what the rules are around support bubbles and things like that since it happened. Because I don't live with the person I'm seeing, so. But
No,
apparently,
it's very awkward, isn't it?
you can form a support bubble, so we can see each other, and that's it, outside of work or whatever. But I can go and work.
Well, I think you probably can between now and Thursday when it comes into effect.
Yeah. No, we'll still be seeing each other, but it just means that like I can't see other people. And I don't mean see in that sense. I don't just mean I was
No,
shagging.
but then if there are two single households,
That's not what I meant.
can you though? You know, if you've got two single households, can you though?
Yes.
So I gave the example of like my gran and my auntie who are two single households, and they've effectively become a bubble.
Yeah, exactly. You can.
I mean, it must be an awful year if you're the person who shags around.
Yeah.
This is it.
The other thing is, the first thing I read was it's all right for childcare. So I thought I'm cutting it fine to get her pregnant.
Gotta move fast.
I've got till Thursday.
I'll say, yeah, you got a few days. Get on it.
Get on it. Really? That's the phrase you're going with.
No, it's not. Oh, it's Anthony Chin.
Anthony Chin.
Half hour net income. I think it's Anthony Chin. Might not be Anthony Chin.
Did he become Anthony Double Chin as he got older?
No, he didn't. Yeah, it's the half hour net income guy from Due to a Kill.
Oh, okay. Take off all their clothes.
Where's Patrick Stewart?
Patrick Stewart wrote this. For instance, I'm walking along in Crab King. And I'm thinking, I'd like to see them naked.
I always think Austin Powers when it went at this bit.
It stops for a pee,
Yeah.
that goes on forever. They should be picking up their sort of Swedish love punch book. This thing is my bag, baby. Austin Powers coming soon. Not like that.
Oh, maybe he's uncredited.
No, we are commentating on the Austin Powers films in the next few months.
Groovy, baby, yeah. Right.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Everyone who works in non-essential shops is what you have to do these days.
What do you have to do these days?
Go and have your temperature taken. And
All right.
stuff. This is kind of what I imagined. I was like, oh no.
Well, I've been to a couple of restaurants where they do it.
Yeah, some places are doing. Wait, you do that and then you scan. You do the test and trace, and you shake it all around, and you scan the QR code.
Test and trace has been a complete waste of fucking time, but yeah.
It's a nightmare.
No, I do it because we're supposed to do it, but the success rate on it's been appalling.
I think this is
Terrible.
where Sean got the inspiration for his onesie.
I think so.
He just thought, well, yeah, he probably thought that was so comfortable if I could just accessorize it with a nice belt. First commentary we ever did, Goldfinger. It's going to be bizarre because this is a tribute to him, but obviously a bit like with Roger, we've got commentaries to go, and we're going to be commentating on him in the future. You know, and he's not
With
there
Thunderball.
anymore.
Oh.
Well, I think it is just Thunderball now.
Well, I thought that's going to be a really good one, isn't it? So I kind of thought, well, this is, it's a way that we can still like honour the memory of Sean.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been fair if we just left Diamonds Are Forever to do. But it's like, Sean Connery's died, let's celebrate with the most half-assed overweight performance he ever did.
Mm.
The guy cares at this point, and he's doing really good work.
Yeah, it was Anthony Chin. I was right.
See, I would love to see effectively like a video game continuity for James Bond as well, but completely separate.
Oh, chance to be a fine thing.
Well, they talk about making the films period. I would never ever do that. I think the book should be in the Fleming period, and then like have a film continuity that's set in like the 60s or something. I'd love to see that. You know, you've just got like a different continuity with a sort of more generic Bond look, like the literary Bond or something.
I mean, just more Bond would be nice.
Well, that would be a start, wouldn't it? To be fair, it's not like they haven't got a Bond film ready to go.
Yeah.
No word on a book or anything yet, though. Another book or anything like that. Because I think they'll go with Horowitz again, and he said that he's done mid-career and early career, so he'd like to do something later.
Yeah, I think he is. I read somewhere that he's going to do another one.
Yeah, but he'll do it right at the end of the Fleming continuity.
Yeah. Yeah, he's covered all the bases. Oh dear. Down I go.
Coffee goes right through me.
Oh. Well, it's a diuretic, Oh dear.
Damn.
Nice civil service as well.
Well, this sets the sort of guest friendship thing we get through the course of the series.
This is a really creepy scene.
It is. He sort of comes in to have a little look at him, and that's about it.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah. It's very odd.
It's just very strange.
Someone's like put him in bed as well, unless he's already woken up.
No.
Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? It's probably the nurses, perhaps. It's so weird. Oh my gosh. You've got contrast with like the white suit and the backhands as well. This looks otherworldly. Ooh.
It does make you wonder what was the point.
It kind of sets you up, really, doesn't it? So you think,
No,
oh,
but,
this
like,
Dr. No character is very mysterious. You don't know anything about him.
Yeah. But what was Dr. No's point of like drugging them?
That's it. I don't know. Blofeld might have gone, this is what I want you to do.
Don't want to keep the doctor waiting.
Oh. Oh, well, I just do it with my buttons. Hold on. That's a cute outfit.
Yeah, he dresses them well, doesn't he?
He does look after his guests.
I think that's the best she looks in the whole film.
Yeah, definitely.
By quite a distance.
I think Sean's best looks are probably like in the suit at the start of the film, and then here.
I mean, what she wore coming onto the beach actually looked way better on Heather Graham.
Oh, that's that for a long time.
Think she's still tucking in?
Maybe after dinner. Ooh. I feel like there could have been some dialogue here or something.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah, I don't know. What are we gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I suppose
Going
we
down?
feel it with tension.
Are we going down together or something? A cheesy line of dialogue.
I watched Die Another Day about 3 weeks ago. Oh, it
We're
was
going
not
down together.
it was not a good viewing. I just wanted them to shut up the whole time.
Oh
It
god.
was just like, oh, stop. This isn't working. You know it's not working.
No, cringe.
What's the worst line in that film, in your opinion?
Oh, there's so many because none of the lines work. I hate they feast. That's awful. I think I got the thrust of it. I hated. I just almost everything they say.
That line's meant to be a little bit ironic, though. Just the way she says it, I think, got the thrust of it. You know.
She actually, to be fair, I'm not fond of her in that film, but she did almost save it with her delivery.
She delivered it in the right way. It's a very on the nose line, but I think the way she delivers it is meant to be like that. Though.
It's just bad. None of it works. There's Bond films I like less. There's Bond films I struggle with more, but it was a really, really poor viewing. I really struggled with it. Couldn't wait for it to finish. And it was just one of those films that would. I mean, the visuals are terrible as well, but I almost feel like it would have been better with the sound off, because it was just like every time they open their mouths, they're just, oh, come on, stop. This isn't working.
Please come have dinner while I creep you out.
Yeah.
So like this is like the form on.
Oh look, and there's that painting that's been stolen.
This is one of the hallmarks of like the spy genre of being treated as an elegant guest in
Yeah, it's another spy movie trope.
It comes from epic form. If you go back to like Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey and stuff like that, guest friendship was a thing in epic form.
Yeah, it's got a history.
Yeah, where even if you're with your enemies, you owe them a certain degree of that. Yeah.
Mm.
See, not just entertaining, we are educational.
Yeah, you did well to sort of lock into the one thing I know anything about.
No, there's many years of knowledge to be gained.
No Bond bluffing. Yes, I've sent them everything, so your plans are scuppered. You might as well not bother now, come on. He's quite an interesting looking man though, isn't he?
Joseph Wiseman, I don't know what they've done to his eyes, because again, I think he's meant to be playing Far East Asian. So they've done something to the edge of his eyes to try. You couldn't do this now. I've got no problem with it. It's a 1962 film, but you couldn't do that now, because it would be considered whitewashing.
Now I haven't read the book, but he's meant to be kind of a bit confused looking. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't pin anything on him. Do you know what I mean? He's not like
even though if he's, you know, if he's not kind of like a Asian character, for example, say he isn't, for example, he still kind of looks.
Yeah. It's quite subtle,
Otherworldly.
but it's only because you know that background. If you do know the books and stuff like that, it's not Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. You know what I mean?
No, oh gosh,
it's okay.
that's awful. But he's, you know, they do sort of have a kind of otherness about them, even though it's like Zoran or somebody, or he's no Goldfinger. That's it. He's supposedly British, but obviously isn't. I know that's a trope, isn't it? So they're meant to have something sort of otherness about them. So. I love his silk shirt.
It is. I mean, from what it does for the series and building on this, and you can see elements of that set later in sort of Stromberg and things like that. So, I mean, it's very important for where the series is going, and this set kind of interests me and all the rest of it. Particularly as you know, they made it on no money, so that's just magnified.
That's just amazing, isn't it?
That you look at the fish behind him, that's like odd. But the fact is, this is
it's really
for me,
elaborate furniture.
Like,
really, you know.
Not the fact is, my opinion is this is the least interesting bit of the film.
But yeah, it just sets up the whole scene, you know, for the whole series as well.
Yeah.
And like, especially all the rumours about like No Time to Die and like how there may be sort of shades of Doctor No kind of weaved in. So whether or not they may be true, we don't know. Don't know until the film's actually released. But I'd just be keen to see, you know, if those rumours are true or if there's any element of that at all in the new film. So.
Thing is, because you've got investor confidence and that to watch out for, they always have to have a kind of. I think they always sort of have to have a release date, whether they think they're going to hit it or not. Bond is not coming out in April 2021.
No, they'll save it for the following year.
I don't know, but it's not coming out in April.
No, I'll be very surprised. That's kind of one of those sort of main debates. Will they, won't they? Or will they stream it? Will they, won't
we can
they?
answer it now. They won't. It's as simple as
no.
that. Streaming, I was taken aback when I heard they'd been looking into it, but I think it was just exploratory by one of the parties, just MGM.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the studios, the distributors don't have their own streaming services.
They don't have their own platform, do they? I don't think.
Yeah, if you were distributing through Paramount, you could do something there because they've got like CBS All Access, which is about to be changed to Paramount Plus or something. If Disney were doing it, you got Disney Plus. You know what I mean? I can't see.
I wonder, are they going to buy it out and then have it on Disney Plus? I can't see that.
Maybe that's possible. Maybe that is possible. They say, well, you know, money would talk, I'm sure, but
they'd have to at least consider it. But I don't know.
They were talking huge amounts of money. And it took me aback. The only thing that gave me pause was the source for it was Drew McQueenie. And Drew McQueenie is a decent source. He just is.
Yeah, he's quite respectable, quite trustworthy.
Yeah, there would have been talks about it.
Yeah,
definitely, but I can't see acting because it's, you know, for them to make money, to make their money back, they have to have a theatrical.
Well, I mean, you can defray all the risk by basically saying buy it for, you know, more than our take would have been at the box office. And if you're Netflix or Apple, particularly Apple, I would say, because they're still trying to grow their sort of TV service. You know, it would not only bring in a lot of new subscribers, but new subscribers you then could sell other things to and stuff like that. So that was the logic behind it. It did surprise me though, because Universal have a contract and Annapurna have a contract, and it's not in their interests as a company that want a long-term relationship with a series that is as safe as houses, really. I mean, we worry about Bond occasionally, but it's been there nearly 60 years. So there's nothing to say it won't be there in 15, 20 years from now. And if that's the case, why would they give up their one shot? If they had like a 3 or 4 film deal, like a Sony, maybe you could do something where they say, look, it's a 4 film deal, we'll increase your points on the next 3 or the next 2. You'll get a bit more of the profit, but we're sinking. We've got to put this one streaming. And because none of those things apply, I'm not an insider. I don't work for Eon. I don't work for MGM. So when I say because I now know talks have taken place, I'm now saying it with less confidence than I said it a few weeks ago. Because I said bullishly a few weeks ago, they won't because they can't. Well, presumably, if they've been holding talks, there must be ways you can make it happen. But it's not easy. There's nothing about the arrangements, the way Eon have their films distributed, the way we know contracts are for No Time to Die, and all of those sorts of things, and the fact that we're at the end of a cycle with a Bond. None of those things lend themselves to, we'll send it to Netflix. It doesn't work like that, I don't think. But I've been given pause for thought because a far, far more connected person than me has said talks took place. So I'm like, okay. But I suspect they were strictly exploratory.
Well, definitely. But I can't see it happening. I can't see it going streaming.
No, it's like putting Bond.
It's only unless when things get really, really desperate. Like there's no site for theatrical release.
Five cinema chains go bust, and yeah.
It's only when things get all right.
Yeah. At the moment, we're still hoping a vaccine will end this fucking nightmare. Or at least alleviate it dramatically. And so we'll see. But I just don't see it either. I really don't.
No, they're saying that the vaccine might not work or might not be as potent.
Well, it stands to reason that it's going to be a first generation vaccine.
Yeah.
So they are going to improve over time. The first thing will be, can it stop the disease killing people? If that's a win.
That's going to be the big win, isn't it? Ooh.
Yeah. I think we're a long way from it'll stop you catching it. But, we'll see. Not an expert on any of those things. But
we'll see how it goes.
In my mind, that putting Bond to streaming is a bit like putting Bond back in the 60s. Once you do it, it's quite difficult to undo. Once it becomes a streaming property, this gold standard of cinema release becomes harder to argue each time. Bit like if you put Bond back in the 60s, as much as I love it because I've got a lot of nostalgia for the 60s films and I love the 60s films, basically Bond becomes a tribute act. It's got nothing new to say. It's like Skyfall's reveal of the DB5, feature length every time. Look at this, remember this? This evoke something you used to love? The film becomes
and they're just going to sort of do Goldfinger again and things like that. You're going to be like, oh, right.
They become even more expensive because everything is period detail. And I just think it's a lovely idea, which is why I think do that as the video games. You know what I mean? Have books set in the 50s, video games set in the 60s, the films in present day. For me. If they made a 60s Bond film, if you said to me there's a 60s style Bond film coming out next month, well, forget COVID for a minute, I think I'd be quite excited by it. You
can do an animated series.
Yeah. I mean, I take a step back and I think, if I think about it, it's a really bad idea. Emotionally, my reaction is yes, please. And then I think about it for a minute and think it's the worst thing the series could ever do. I think the problem is if you did an animated series, it would just look like Archer.
Yeah.
Although I would love a Bond series in that style. Not that humour necessarily, because it wouldn't suit that property, but... I mean, Archer is very, very Bond influenced. Worth a look if you've not seen it, folks.
Archer's fantastic. I cannot recommend it highly enough. The last few seasons just go wildly diverted from the 60s spy genre, but it plays around with that kind of genre anyway. Like the first series and where it is now, two very different beasts.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually seen
Voice
a lot
talent
of
is solid all the way through.
There's a lot of it, and I haven't had time to go through a lot of
it's about
it.
10 or 11 series now. I think they're all on Netflix.
What I've watched, I've really enjoyed.
It's fantastic, and the voice talent is on the ball all the way through, and they have some great celebrity cameos as well. And just it's just very very dry humour, very referential. Especially somebody like yourself, Dave, is very into the pop culture, and it's something that's it's fed back into pop culture as well. So Yeah, big fan of Archer for sure.
Anyway, Bond's about to have a fight with someone while wearing condom-esque suits.
Yeah, they do look a bit like that.
What fucking condoms do you buy?
See-through ones.
What, you got like a little fucking viewing window for your fucking like bell end?
I was looking at Chang. Oh my god. Get on with it, Chang. Right. Right, radiation level goes up to very high. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
And that suit makes you look fatter than you really are.
Does my bum look big in this?
Sorry, excuse me.
Well, it does, because it's just like...
Well, it does, unfortunately.
Well, he's actually inflated, the one doing the thing.
I mean, it's alright if you are fat, because you can just use that as an excuse. It's the suit.
Yeah.
Actually, Michelin, man.
You're suddenly coming through really loud, Becca.
Oh, sorry, I sneezed a bit. I think I might have turned my thing up as well. Excuse me.
That's all right.
Is that any better?
I don't know. Say it again. We'll figure it out. Very specific signage they've got up there. One ready with abandoned area. There's not one up there that says everything's great.
There's a speaker with missile tracking on.
Yeah. That's definitely a model. Look at the little boat, look.
That is model work. Oh, that's like Derek Medding's style.
Yeah.
Probably not Derek Medding's, but
Still a marvel on the money they had. So really no complaints at all.
yeah, it holds up considering the time. It does hold up.
Danger level.
Danger level goes up to 50. There's a question about that on the JPR quiz. Oh my gosh. There's a sort of detail that you have to pay attention to.
But I mean, I've seen the film for years, and I couldn't have told you off the top of my
No,
head.
this
'Cause
is
I've never
it,
looked. I've never
exactly.
looked because it's not really that relevant when you're watching the film.
Exactly.
It's a level that's rising. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
If it said 300, you wouldn't know any different, would you? It would just say
This is it.
it's just a range.
I think because they covered most things, so when they were writing it, they sort of tried to cater
To be fair,
like casual fan and expert. But it's trying to find something else, isn't it?
They've been going for years, and you know, they do the big sort of quiz every Boxing
Every
Day.
year,
and
usually
stuff
every
like
year,
that.
isn't it? Like Boxing Day or
Boxing
something.
Day, isn't it? And the quiz is really good, but by the time you do like 100 questions every year or something, yeah, you are going to start getting to sort of deep cut detail.
Well, this is it. I think they've covered all the bases now, so they're starting thinking, right, they've done the Tommy trivia, they've done the Trivial Pursuit. But it's good fun though.
Having a fight on a slowly...
Yeah, slow dipping mechanism. Here we are.
Having a fight by a spa.
Damn, his hands is...
There's no grip.
Damn. Now he's just got to like enjoy the hot tub.
I feel there's a like a pun line missing here.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be though.
That was too hot for comfort. I don't know.
Too hot to handle,
Yeah.
which probably would have been the original title.
I'm just thinking of trading places. Bubbles. When I was a kid, if we wanted bubbles, we had to
Bubbles
fart the tub.
That bit in Austin Powers where he turns out like 5 different zingers. I just think, oh, Christ. But yeah, so I agree, Chris. That scene needed some kind of line, didn't it? I think. It's got a bit flat now. Like if there's a the villain dies or there's some explosive scene and there isn't a quip, you just feel like, oh.
But as I say, I rank Doctor No very high, but I rank it for like the high for about its first 45 minutes.
For the good
I
qualities.
feel about it the same way I feel about The Spy Who Loved Me in some ways. I just prefer it to The Spy Who Loved Me in that I just think first 3/4 of an hour is gold. The rest of it is influential, but actually relatively pedestrian. And I still love it. It's shaped everything that came afterwards. It's still got a lovely design to it. Connery's great. He's going to fill out a little bit more by the time we get to Goldfinger without looking overweight. Just looks a little bulky, a bit more muscular or something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but he definitely looks a bit more filled out by the sort of third entry. But he just looks perfect here. He just looks, I mean, not so much what he's wearing now, but just wandering in late from the casino and all that kind of stuff I really liked. As I say, I've no idea what's miniature and what isn't here. Obviously, that's not a miniature because they're running right beside it, but I don't know what they could do with forced perspective and stuff like that in this era. I suspect that's real and they make miniatures based off it. I really don't know.
But then it looks like a very real industrial thing, so...
It does. It's the interesting thing with Sean Connery is how mixed opinions were on him in that there are directors out there who said he was tough to work with. I've seen interviews where I thought his attitude was all wrong. But we're looking at Ursula Andress here. They were lifelong friends afterwards. Close lifelong friends afterwards. And you said what a gentleman he was, how great he was to work with. He's been known to look after people. He's been known to help people out financially.
I think it's just one of those things, like whether he got on with it or not. I think from the stories I've heard from people, he just seems to be someone who just doesn't take any fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And is like his own boss. And
once he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you. But if he does like you, very, very loyal friend. Michael Caine's a close friend.
And he's always on time Roger. As well. He's very punctual.
Yeah. And you told me the story
Caine
about
left a lovely tribute.
Yeah, and you told me the story about him helping Michael Bay out when he really didn't have to. So yeah,
he just sort of like came in when a meeting, didn't he? When, for the heck of it, just like I know how these studios work. So he just walks in. It's like fucking Sean Connery.
He didn't mind.
Himself.
He cared little enough about what people thought that he was quite happy to put people's backs up if he felt it justified. Whereas, like, couldn't imagine that with Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Just different characters. So I've never meant to badmouth him because an awful lot of things about everybody is perception. The limited bits you see of them in the press, things they said that may not reflect their whole opinion or may be taken out of context. You got to remember, we talk about him and his attitudes to women and stuff. He was married happily for 45 years. So I don't want to say too much on that. But as for his Bond, what a template he set. And he's still James Bond to a lot of people. When people, if someone does an impression of James Bond as opposed to one of the actors, they do Sean Connery.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. I mean, you might have a slight tendency to go for Roger Moore if you're not saying the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, he will always be Bond.
Yeah.
He'll always be the best Bond.
Yeah. Don't make him your favourite necessarily, but he's James Bond. And I will die on the hill that he's closer than Dalton is to Fleming. He is. I'm sorry. But then that might be because he's doing the actual stories. There are elements of Dalton, the world weariness of Dalton, and the slight... Yeah, there's the world weariness of Dalton, and of course the piercing blue eyes and stuff. That's very literary Bond. There's elements of it that's similar. But the sort of casual coldness of the guy is much more essayed in Connery than it is. You've only got to watch him round Cara, Dalton and stuff, and he's almost too nice to be the literary one.
Yeah, he's too caring.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's it, folks. We're going to sign off relatively quickly. That was our tribute to Sir Sean Connery, who died today at the age of 90. So you will probably see that. It's going to go out tonight. This will be up before I go to bed tonight on your iTunes feeds and so on. and I'll either cut a trailer quickly or I'll do one afterwards for the sake of completeness. But it's all a bit rushed because we don't want to do any editing tonight. We just want to put something out, hit the date, and not interrupt our ordinary schedule because we're recording. We're going back to our main series on Wednesday. So my last words on the subject are just he will be missed. He's not been active for a certain number of years, but we've lost another Hollywood great, and these people are in finite supply.
I would agree. Yeah, we've lost a titan of cinema, not just in Bond, but in in film itself. Really, as we talked earlier, sort of cast a very long shadow, and created many iconic roles outside of Bond. So yeah, he'll be much missed.
Titan of cinema, I like that, Becca. Yeah, no, I mean, clearly the man's a legend. He's a definitive movie star. You just got to look at his work beyond Bond to even see that. And his first introduction scene is just pure magic. It just is. You just, as soon as he says that line, that's a star making scene right there. So hats off to Sean, because he will be missed. That's definite.
Can I play infinite rounds of golf at his leisure?
Rather than our usual shilling all our personal sort of stuff and where to find us and everything, I think we'll leave it at that. Rest in peace, Sean.